A billionaire looked at his own company, worth roughly $3 billion, and decided the right thing to do wasn't to sell it, pass it to his children, or take it public. It was to give the entire thing away to fight climate change. His name was Yvon Chouinard, founder of Patagonia. Born in 1938, he started his business career as a rock climber, making and selling handmade climbing equipment out of the back of his car in the 1950s and 1960s, gradually building that small operation into an outdoor clothing and gear company that would eventually become one of the most recognized and respected brands in the industry. From early in the company's history, Chouinard structured Patagonia around environmental values that went well beyond typical corporate messaging. The company famously ran an advertisement in 2011 explicitly telling customers, "Don't buy this jacket," encouraging people to think carefully about consumption and repair existing gear rather than purchasing new items unnecessarily, an unusual message for a company whose core business depended on selling clothing. Morgan Housel has written that a company's genuine values become most visible not in what it says in marketing materials, but in what it actually does when doing the right thing. According to those values, conflicts directly with maximizing short-term profit. Patagonia's specific advertising campaign discouraging unnecessary purchases represented exactly that kind of costly, genuine signal, actively working against its own immediate sales in service of a broader environmental message it claimed to genuinely believe in. By 2022, at 83 years old, Chouinard made his most significant decision yet regarding the company's ownership structure. Rather than selling Patagonia to a larger corporation, taking it public through an IPO, or passing ownership directly to his children, he restructured the entire company's ownership so that all of Patagonia's voting stock went into a specially created trust focused on protecting the company's values, while all of the company's profits not reinvested into the business itself would flow to a non-profit organization dedicated to fighting climate change and protecting undeveloped land. Benjamin Graham's investment philosophy emphasized understanding what a company is genuinely worth and how that value should be allocated. Chouinard's specific structural choice represented an unusual, explicit answer to that question. Rather than converting the company's roughly $3 billion value into personal or family wealth, he directed the entirety of its ongoing profit generation toward a specific external cause he'd cared about throughout his life. Daniel Kahneman's research into how people typically prioritize their own family's financial security over more abstract causes helps illustrate just how unusual Chouinard's decision genuinely was. Most business founders who build something this valuable eventually pass ownership to their children or convert it into liquid, personally accessible wealth. Chouinard explicitly avoided both paths, stating publicly that he didn't want his children to inherit either the company or the associated financial burden of managing an enormous fortune they hadn't personally built. Robert Kiyosaki's core lesson about assets producing something meaningful applies here in an unusually direct, literal way. Chouinard didn't simply donate a portion of his existing wealth to charity once. He restructured the actual, ongoing income-generating mechanism of the entire company so that its future profits would permanently fund environmental causes, rather than accumulating as personal or family wealth indefinitely. Here's an honest complication worth including, since Chouinard's specific structure has drawn both praise and legitimate critical analysis since its announcement. Some analysts and commentators have noted that the specific trust and nonprofit structure Chouinard chose also carries meaningful tax advantages compared to alternative approaches, and that the arrangement, while genuinely redirecting substantial ongoing wealth toward environmental causes, doesn't function identically to Chouinard personally paying full, immediate taxes on an outright sale of the company. This doesn't necessarily diminish the genuine environmental commitment behind the decision, but it's worth understanding that even unusually generous financial structures often involve legitimate tax considerations alongside their stated charitable purpose. George S. Clason's advice about understanding exactly what money is genuinely for applies here at a scale and with a specificity Clason himself likely never imagined. Chouinard's entire approach reflects a specific, explicit answer to that question, that the company's ongoing value should serve a cause beyond his own family's financial security, structured permanently rather than as a one-time gift he could later reconsider. This isn't a simple story suggesting every successful founder should give away their entire company, or that Chouinard's specific structure is beyond legitimate scrutiny or debate. What makes his decision worth remembering is the specific, unusual clarity behind it, an explicit, structural choice to permanently redirect an enormous, ongoing source of wealth toward a cause outside his own family line, made deliberately rather than as an afterthought once his own needs and his children's needs had already been fully secured. So here's a question worth sitting with. If you built something worth billions of dollars, would you default towards securing your own family's wealth first, or would you seriously consider structuring it to serve something entirely outside your own bloodline? Before you leave, I want to hear from you. Do you think a founder giving away an entire company to a cause, rather than to their own children, represents genuine generosity, or does it simply substitute one form of legacy for another? Read a few comments before you go. Some of the most thoughtful disagreements on this channel come from people who see this exact question very differently. Next week, I'll pick one comment and send its author one of the books that inspired this channel. And if these stories help you think differently about money, you'll find a way to support future research in the description. Every contribution helps buy books, access research, and keep this content free for everyone. Remember this. Yvon Chouinard didn't just build a clothing company. He built a mechanism designed to keep generating money for a cause, long after his own name stopped being the one who decided where the profits went.